Hey there, Dungeon Masters, Lark here, and today is our first episode of One Shot, where we take some of the most epic adventures in the Dungeons & Dragons and other universes, and find out how can I run this part of the adventure as an epic one-shot, so that way everybody gets to have the best time they can in the smallest amount of time possible. In this series, you'll be seeing me cut some of the flack off of adventures and removing the things that aren't important. You'll also see me adding some things that I think are extremely important if you want those adventurers in your one-shot to come back for some more shots. In this debut episode, we'll be taking a look at The Lost Mines of Phandelver, a fantastic adventure for beginner adventurers, and a fantastic adventure for beginner DMs. The first chapter of this story is called Goblin Arrows. Now, in this chapter, I think it's very easy to run it as a one-shot, but I want to cut some of the extra fat off the edges, so that way your players have the best time and make every single encounter a memorable one. Spoiler alert for The Lost Mines of Phandelver, Chapter 1, Goblin Arrows. As your party works their way down the road, they'll come across the fallen mounts of their good friend Gundren and his bodyguard Sildar. Gundren and Sildar are nowhere to be seen. There are black feathered arrows stuck into the corpses of the horses, and it is up to you to figure out what happened. As the party begins to take a look at what's going on here, or at least try to move the horses out of the path so they can get their wagons through, the first encounter begins. Goblins attack. According to the manual, 2 goblins run into melee range to try to attack the party, and 2 more goblins stay at long range to try to just pester them with arrows. Allow the party to use half cover and full cover rules with the cart. That way they're not getting absolutely demolished by these arrows, because this first little encounter can be absolutely deadly to inexperienced adventurers. The book does recommend that after 3 goblins fall, one of them tries to run away, but I want to change that entirely because we're trying to make sure our party has a good time and not murder them in the first minutes of gameplay. In my version of this, once 1 goblin falls, the other 3 attempt to run away, while the party can make some follow-up attacks from behind. Upon the death of that first goblin, the 3 start running into the woods, where the party will surely follow. They will also very likely kill one of the goblins during their retreat, as there's a lot of turns to go around the table before the goblins get to move their 60 feet. And if you have an archer or a mage with a little bit of range, they can take out a goblin pretty easy. For now, we'll assume that 2 have died, though more could have, or less could have. Now that 2 goblins are gone and 2 are running away, the players will inevitably chase these creatures, trying to find out what happened to their friends, or they will let them go and find the path leading to where those goblins ran, showing drag marks, suggesting that their friends were taken in the direction the goblins are going. Either way, the party is going where the goblins went. Along the path, there are 2 traps set up. These traps are a pitfall trap as well as a snare trap. Typically in the adventure, these traps are alone and by themselves, where a party member may fall in, take a little bit of damage, or get snared up, and then take a little bit of damage. But I want this to be a memorable event, not just a trap by itself in the middle of the wood. So instead, I have 1 goblin, at least 1 goblin posted up by each trap, assuming there are still 2 goblins remaining. If all the goblins were killed in the escape, then yeah, you can run it with no enemies there. But if any got away, they'll have 1 posted at each position. Not more than 1, just 1. We want the parties to win here. Once they've pulled their friend out of the pitfall trap and killed the first goblin, and then pulled their party member down from the snare trap and killed the second goblin, the party is able to clearly work their way through the wood a few miles to the entrance of Cragmaw Cave. Although it doesn't say this in the book, I would have Cragmaw Cave clearly marked with a Cragmaw flag. You can describe this flag however you want. I don't think there's one in the actual campaign, so describe it how you like it. Maybe it's just a bugbear skull or a bugbear face. Whatever you want to do, Cragmaw Cave is clearly marked and flagged. Outside of it, there is a post where there are 2 goblin archers yelling at each other, arguing with each other, or whatever you want to have them saying when the party starts to approach. Give the party the surprise round to kill these 2 goblins, because they are terrible guards. With the guards slain, the party is able to work their way into Cragmaw Cave. First encounter they find on the right is a few whining, whimpering wolves that are attached to the wall. A big thing that I want to do in this adventure is to preface what the future sessions may have if your party members decide that they want to come back for more. So rather than just having these wolves chained to the wall, I describe them as chained horribly, with their heads barely able to lift off the ground. They can't even stand up fully. 2 of them bear brand marks similar to the flag you saw out front, the Cragmaw symbol branded into the hide of these poor wolves, and 1 has the shape of a spider burned into its forehead. If you know this adventure well, then you know what I'm prefacing with the spider, and I never liked how that Black Spider never showed up until the very end of the campaign, I want to leave more clues that the Black Spider's around early on. 2 of these wolves are meant for the Kragmaws. 1 is reserved for the Black Spider. The party can decide to let these creatures go and show mercy. If they do so, I would have these creatures come back to help at various points through the campaign when you feel your party is being overwhelmed, outnumbered, or just outplayed. If the dice are not in their favor, the wolves come back to help. If the party slays the wolves, good for them. Good for them. Next up, the party, after leaving the wolf den, or if they skipped it entirely, they see across a rope bridge, there is a single goblin holding a torch as a lookout through the caves. When he sees the party, he goes, "Ah!" and he goes to run away from the party. If they snipe him down, then he is dead in 1 hit. I'll just say any hit would take him out. Let your whole party have their shot. Put him at maybe 30 feet away or so. It's up to you how you want to run that. If they kill him, nothing bad happens. If they don't kill him, if he's able to get away and off of that bridge, water pours through the entire cave, clearing everything out, and your party may end up being forced back out to the front, or they just take some damage. I'd say it's easier not to force them out of the cave. Just have them take a bunch of damage for having not killed that goblin in 1 shot. Again, a unique moment in the game. As they continue their way through, they eventually turn left and they find the room that has a ton of goblins. In fact, there are 6 goblins, one of them being a named goblin who is running the show, and he's got Sildar. He calls for a truce or he will kill Sildar, who is currently only half conscious, his weapons and armors off to the side. This is a great chance for the party to roleplay a little bit and try to convince this goblin, I think his name is Yimik, to, instead of killing Sildar, let him go, and we will make Yimik the king of Kragmaw Cave. Or the regent? The leader? He's going to take down Klarg. This is a great opportunity to start dropping some lore for your party. Have them learn about the Kragmaw. Have them learn about their ranking system. Have them learn about Klarg and how evil he is. So that way the party wants to help the goblins and kill Klarg. They also may pick up some adventures out here, depending on how they interact with the goblins. But either way, Sildar can join them, or the party may say, "No, Sildar, you stay here and rest. We'll take it from here." Up to you guys. Now, the next encounter, it has 3 goblins by the pools of water. I hate this encounter because I feel like it's not unique. It's just a fight near a pool. The other encounters we had were interesting. One was an ambush. One was guards. That makes sense. One was wolves where you can help or you can hinder. One was a punishment where if you kill the goblin quick, no big deal. But if you don't kill the goblin, water rushes through. Another one was a discussion over this character that we're trying to save. This one is just fight 3 more goblins. So for me, I skipped that one. I don't like that part of the adventure. That is useless, other than just trying to make sure your party is really hurt when they fight the boss, and I don't like my party to lose, so I skipped the 3 goblins by the pool. If you want that one guy that got away, he can be back by the pool if he did flush out the party, and then they can get their revenge as he sits there and cowers, and they can kill him if they want. That could be fun. Up to you. And finally, the boss battle itself. Klarg, his wolf, and his 2 goblin helpers. If you've seen my video on how to make Klarg the best battle ever, you know how to make this one epic in those 3 different pieces. If you haven't seen that video, be sure to check that out. And now, with the end of your session, once Klarg is slain or he has fled, leave a couple more clues about the Kragmaw King, and maybe one more small clue about the Black Spider. Or maybe just call him the Drow in some paperwork. However you want to run that. But once all this is done, the party gets to guide Sildar back to Phandelver, where they are safe, they can rest, drink, level up, and the session is over. Your party has been victorious at saving Sildar, though they never found their friend Gundren. If your family and friends were only looking for a one-shot, the adventure ends here. But if they're curious what happened to poor Gundren, who are the Kragmaw, and what was up with that spider symbol, invite them back for session 2. Next week, another one-shot, this time in Phandalin.